Hello, I'm Scrubby's Reviews. You suggest it, I review it, and by popular demand, I gotta look at another franchise review because I honestly don't know any better. This time, I'll be taking a look at the franchise starring our favorite nightmare, frightening demon, Freddy Krueger, by taking a look at the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. So let's get started by taking a look at A Nightmare on Elm Street from 1984.
The kids of Elm Street don't know it yet, but something is coming to get them.
There's something out there, isn't there?
We just see cuts happen.
What did that tell?
I don't know. What's the coroner got to say?
He's in the jar and puking since he saw it.
They're gonna kill me for sure.
Did you do it?
There was somebody else there.
He was locked in a room with a girl who went in alive and came out in a rubber bag.
No one knows where it came from or who it will visit next.
Nancy? There's something wrong with you. You're imagining things.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Do you believe in the boogeyman?
No.
Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
She's the only one who can stop it. If she fails,
I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy.
no one will survive. From Wes Craven, director of The Hills Have Eyes and Last House on the Left, a new masterpiece in fantasy terror, Nightmare on Elm Street.
So, A Nightmare on Elm Street was released in 1984 and was directed by Wes Craven, who was also directed The Hills Have Eyes and Last House on the Left. And the film stars Robert Englund, Heather Langenkamp, John Saxon, and Johnny Depp. The movie tells the story of Nancy Thompson, who lives on the street in Springwood, Ohio, in the street off Elm Street. She has a few friends, two of them being Tina, her boyfriend Rob, and Nancy's own boyfriend, Glenn, who's played by Johnny Depp. However, some mysterious things are happening, and they begin to be killed mysteriously in their sleep. It's revealed that they're being attacked by an undead serial killer named Freddy Krueger, who many years ago was killed when he was set on fire by the parents of Elm Street. Now he wants revenge and is torturing the children of Elm Street and kills them in their dreams. And if he kills you in your dreams, you die in real life. The first person to get killed in the film is Tina, and of course everybody thinks Rob did it, but then he gets killed after Freddy hangs him with a blanket. The only person that can actually stop Freddy is Nancy. But that will be easy, as Freddy is immortal in his world. Now, one of the things I do like about this film is, well, it's a scary movie. When I first saw this film, I was at an age where I was afraid to go to sleep after I saw it. The idea of being in your dreams where you literally can't escape is a scary idea, and being killed by somebody in your dreams is also pretty damn creepy. Wes Craven once shows his acting as great. Wes Craven is a great director, and he definitely shows in this film. He knows how to get creepy angles, and he knows direction. And there's a lot of weird stuff that happens in this movie. For example, when you're in the dream stuff, you'll go from a boiler room to the outside of your home. Because it's a dream, nothing really makes sense, so it's easy to not know how to talk about it. The casting's great too. One of the standouts is Robert Englund as Freddy. While this is pretty much the early Freddy, so he's not the wisecracking, smartass fool that he is yet. He's still dark, he's sinister, you barely see his face. He's all kept in the shadows, and whenever he does say a line, it's always a creepy little line. Some of the other actors are pretty good too. Heather Langenkamp is really great as Nancy, a girl who seems to be an innocent girl who's thrown into a horrible situation. And this was Johnny Depp's very first acting role, and well, let's just say he doesn't, well, I'm just going to put it lightly and say he doesn't last long.
This is
I'm gonna take a wild guess and say that's not open casket material. Must have been pretty funny when you had to call the coroner, too. Yeah. No, we're not gonna need a body bag. Bring a mop and a few buckets. No, we're not gonna need any organ donors. His vital organs won't be any useful. Okay. You want a hand? No, I'm not offering to help. I'm asking if you want a hand. It's literally the only piece of him that's still intact. Also, this film has some pretty gruesome kills. I mean, some of them are tame, like when Ron gets killed, Freddy just wraps a blanket around his neck and hangs him in his cell. But then there's Glenn's death, which you just saw, and then there's Tina's death, which is probably one of the more well-known deaths in the franchise. Yeah, not that gruesome, but it's probably one of the more well-known kills in the film, mainly because of how creative it is. They did this kill by mainly just turning the room upside, folding the room around, and being like in a spinning box and having the actress just spin around in it. Also, same way they did Glenn's death. The room was upside down, and they just poured whatever they used for the blood, I do not know, into a big hole where the bed was, and, just let it go from there. Alright. With all that said, there's some other characters in the film. There's John Saxon, who plays Sheriff Thompson, who is Nancy's father, played by John Saxon. And he is a really great... Whenever I ever see him, I just get pissed off that he doesn't believe his daughter about this whole thing. The mother's an okay character too, but not as okay. We do get a little backstory for Freddy in this film, which is rare because in the first movie you don't really want to reveal the backstory for your killer. Turns out Freddy was a child murderer who got arrested, but due to a illegal arrest, as in he wasn't read his rights, they had no choice but to set him free. So Nancy's parents and all the other parents of Elm Street hunted Freddy down, trapped him in a boiler room, and burned him alive. Which kind of explains how Freddy looks, kind of looks like a used tissue if you had a bloody nose. That's disgusting. I apologize. And yeah, another thing that made Freddy unique, while other slasher films had their heroes masked and unspeaking, Freddy could speak, was a smartass, and still was creepy at the same time. Wes Craven had a completely different look in store for Freddy. Like, here. Freddy looks like this in the movie, if you know what Freddy looks like. If you don't, well, there you go. Also, his most iconic weapon, a bladed glove. He was originally going to look a lot different, though. If you look at the poster, you'll notice that the glove sort of has an organic design to it. And Freddy was originally supposed to have a trench coat. However, Wes would eventually use these details in a later movie in the series, but we'll get to that later. So, with all that said, there's a lot of really good... I mean, hell, there's a cameo from there's a doctor in the film halfway through who's played by the same guy that did the voice for Roger Rabbit. Now, with all that said, is there anything bad about the film? Well, some, but none that I can think of. But actually, there is a few. The adults are completely fucking useless in this movie. They really don't listen to the kids. And there's some times when some of the stuff can get pretty silly. But, hey, it's still a great movie. But, now that all that said, I'm about to give away the ending to A Nightmare on Elm Street. If you don't want to get spoiled, well, just go watch the movie. After all of Nancy's friends have been murdered, she decides it's time to put matters into her own hands. And she finds out that you can pull Freddy into the real world, and he's weak. She does that, and uses a series of booby traps she made. Yeah, this did Home Alone before Home Alone. To beat Freddy up, and she ends up bringing him down to into the basement, setting him on fire, but then Freddy attacks Nancy's mother. I don't know why. But Nancy learns the secret. Freddy's power comes from the fear of his victims. If you stop being afraid of him, or just stop living in him, he goes weak. Nancy realizes this and turns her back on Freddy, calling him nothing. Freddy disappears, and the film ends with Nancy walking outside to get into the car with her friends. Yeah, so was it all just a nightmare? Nope. The top of the car flips up, and it has Freddy's colors on it. Then Freddy's arm busts out of the window and grabs Nancy's mother, pulling her into the house. As the car drives away into the fog with these little girls singing the nursery rhyme by Freddy, which Wes Craven was completely against. I mean, he wanted the film to have a happy ending with Nancy, the whole thing being Nancy's nightmare, but the studio wanted to make sure they would have a sequel, so they pushed him to make this new ending. Wes was never a fan of this, and I don't really think he actually got a chance to have a happy ending in any of the Nightmare movies he directed. With all that said, A Nightmare on Elm Street is a really great horror film. It introduced the world of Freddy Krueger, and ever since, Freddy became an 80s icon, getting from a TV show, and toys, and costumes. Yes, even kids digged Freddy, which is pretty damn ironic when you think about it. Thank you for watching. I'm Kobe the Reviewer. And remember, they're just dreams. They can't hurt you. Or can they? Join me next time when we continue the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise review.